Hi, in today's video, we will talk about the pot of gold written by Plautus. Plautus was a Roman dramatist. He has written over 100 plays, and out of his plays, this play, The Pot of Gold, is the most famous play. Pot of Gold, which was known in Roman aulularia, is a comedy. This entire comic play revolves around its main character, Eucalio. Eucalio is a miserly old man. There are many characters in this play. We have Lar Familiaris, Staphyla. Staphyla is the housekeeper of Eucalio. And then we have his neighbor, a wealthy neighbor, Magadorus. And we have Magadorus' sister, Eunomia, Eunomia's son, who is a young man. And then we have some minor characters. We have Strobilus, who is a steward of Magadorus, and then we have some servants, Congrio, we have Anthrax, who is a cook, and then we have a slave. Phaedria is another character, but she is not seen on stage. We can only listen to her voices and the noises she creates in the background. Although this play is a Roman play, but it is set in Athens, a Greek city. At the very outset, a detailed description is given by Lar Familiaris. Lar Familiaris, as I told you, is the household god of Eucalio. So this long dialogue also performs the role of a prologue. So at the very outset, the Lar Familiaris introduces himself. He tells us that he is the household god, and he reveals a secret. He said that the forefathers of Eucalio had kept with him a pot of gold, which he has kept on hiding in the house. He also tells us that he has so far not seen anybody in this family fit to receive this reward, but finally he is happy with the daughter of Eucalio, whose name is Phaedria, and he wants to. He tells us that he has already revealed the secret that there is a pot of gold hidden inside the house to the owner of the house, Eucalio. Then he makes the audience aware of another fact. And what is that fact? It is, he tells us that a certain young man of good family has already been to bed with her, with Phaedria. Although the father doesn't know, he still thinks that she is a virgin woman, virgin daughter, but she is pregnant of a young man. This young man is not here introduced to us. Of course, we only know that he is a young man, but who that young man is, he is not yet been identified. Lar discloses the secret of this hidden treasure in the house of Eucalio only to help him to get his daughter married. And while we are reading this play, it comes us we come to know that there was a tradition in Rome to give large sum of money in the shape of dowry to the daughters. As we know, Eucalio, the main character, the protagonist of this play, is a miserly man. He doesn't want to spend even a single penny on his daughter. In order to help him, and not only this, because he had been a poor man, he had not the capacity to give dowry. So it is that's why he is being rewarded or given this prize, this hidden treasure by Lar, so that he could get his daughter married. Why does Lar do this? Because Lar is happy with Phaedria. In the very beginning of this play, Euclid is seen fighting with his housemaid Staphyla. He always keeps on doubting on Staphyla that she might reveal to the outsiders that there is a hidden treasure. Although she doesn't know, it's only a secret to Euclid. This pot of gold is hidden there in the house. But Euclid is always doubtful that she knows it, she has known it, and she will tell the neighbors, she will tell others, she will have, she will inform the thieves, and thieves will take it away. There is a funny dialogue between Euclid and Staphyla. What does Euclid tell Staphyla? He tells her, to get out so that he could have a view of the gold. This part of gold always keeps him restless, always makes him restless. That's why he continuously, many times a day, wants to have a look of the gold. And while he is doing this, he asks, rather asking, we can use the word, he expels his housemaid away from the house. And when he sees that his gold is safe, he once again asks his housemaid to return. What does he say? All is safe, I feel better with that load of my mind. Then he asks Staphyla, all right, you can get back in. Euclid doesn't reveal to anybody, he doesn't want to reveal to anybody that he is the possessor of this pot of gold. He wants to show the people that he is still a very poor man. And it is the day when there is going to be some distribution of alms, some money to poor men by one of the rich persons in the city, and he wants to attend that gathering, that meeting, that distribution ceremony. While he is going away, he asks his housemaid Staphyla that I am going away, don't allow anybody into the house, people may steal my goods. Staphyla finally tells him that there is nothing hidden in your house, there is nothing kept in your house, who will come and take anything from this house? He once again very comically asks her, hold your tongue, get inside, and bolt the door, both bolts. I'll be back in a minute. While he is away, we see the neighbor's sister Eunomia trying to persuade her brother Magadorus to get married. Magadorus is an elderly person, but he has still remained unmarried. He doesn't want to get married because he is very much afraid of women, especially those women who are very rich, who are from very rich families, and who come with a lot of dowry with them to their husbands. And he thinks that these women do actually control their husbands, and that is perhaps why he has so far not married. Now when Eunomia asks him to get married, he finally accepts to get married on only one condition. And what is that condition? He knows that there is a girl in his neighborhood who is Eucleo's daughter, because Eucleo is a very poor man. He knows that he cannot give any kind of dowry to his daughter. He wants to accept that dowerless girl so that she could not control him. There are two more reasons why he wants to marry. There are two reasons why he wants to marry the daughter of Euclio. The first one is that because he himself is an elderly person and he knows that the woman his sister is looking for him will also be elderly women from rich families. If they are really, if the lady who may marry him is an elderly woman, he's afraid that he thinks that they may not produce any kind of child, which is actually the purpose of a marriage. And even if a child is born, the parents will die very soon because of being old, and who will take care of that child? While these siblings are talking about these things, Magador sees that Euclio is coming. He says, I will go and see Euclio now. If he is at home, why, here he comes. I wonder where he has been. He has been. While Euclio is returning, he regrets going away from his house because there was actually no distribution of money by that rich person who was supposed to distribute alms among the poor people. While he is talking to himself, Magadorus approaches him. I hope you are well and happy and ever will be. Euclio thanks Megadorus. May the gods be with you. Now he is trying to quickly get into the house so that he can once again have a look of his gold. Because he is always restless, he thinks that people might have already taken that gold away from him. But there is one more doubt. When Magadorus, who is a rich man, approaches him, greets him, he is doubtful that perhaps his housemaid has already revealed the secret to Magadorus that he has gold in his house, and that's why he wants to be friends with him so that he can steal his gold. What does he say? There is an aside. He tells himself, a rich man doesn't pay compliments to a poor man for nothing. He knows that I have got gold, I have got money. That's why he is so smarmy. Then he rushes into the house and sees that the gold is safe. Then he returns. Magadors puts a proposal before him. But because we know he's going to be a would-be son-in-law of Euclio, he doesn't approach him directly. He asks the hand of his daughter in a roundabout manner. What does he say? Let's see how he asks this thing to Euclio. Please give me your attention a minute, Euclio. If it is worth your attention to listen to something I have to say that concerns us both. Oh God, she's once again afraid. Oh God, he has got his hooks into into that gold. It's here. He disappears and goes to his home and rushes back. When Euclio returns, he tells himself in an aside, all is well, thanks God, thank gods. Then Megadorus asks him questions about his own reputation. He tells him, do you know me? He says, yes, I know you. Do you know that I have a lot of wealth? I'm a reputed person. He says, yes, you are a reputed person. There is nothing against your character. Then finally, he tells him that although I am very old, but still I am interested in your daughter. When Euclio listens to him, he says, no, there is nothing in my household, in my family, to give to my daughter, because he knows that a marriage can take place in equal families, and he is not equal to Megadorus, because Megadorus is very rich and he is very poor himself. And finally, there is a conclusion. Megadorus tells him that I will marry your daughter and you will not have to pay anything. I will accept her without any dowry. Let us see what Euclio tells him. He tells Megadorus that I shan't have a penny of dowry to give her. Megadorus says, don't give her a halfpenny. Let her bring me her virtue and good name. That is dowry enough. I only mentioned it lest you might be under the impression that I had found some hidden treasure. He's a witless man. He actually is halfway to reveal that there is gold hidden in his house. But Megadorus says no. Megadorus has no inkling of this thing. He keeps on talking about his marriage proposal. They finally shake their hands, greet each other, and accept this marriage proposal. It is decided that the marriage will take place on the same day, on which Euclio happily accepts the proposal, because he has not to spend even a halfpenny, even a single penny. Megadorus arranges everything. He brings some cooks, some servants, and foodstuff to be cooked in both the families. He distributes it between his house and his neighbor Euclio's household. Here, the servants and cooks are introduced. We have Strobylus, who is a steward of Megadorus. We have Anthrax, who is a cook. Then we have another cook, Congrio. Congrio goes to the house of Euclio, and Anthrax to the house of Megadorus. Euclio has also gone to market in order to get something for his daughter. Now, he comically returns back after purchasing nothing. He complains that everything is very costly and he was not able to purchase even a single thing. Before he returns back, Strobylus and Anthrax have a funny discussion about the miserliness of Euclio. They tell stories about Euclio, how miserly he is. Strobylus tells Congrio and Anthrax, I'm telling you, if he loses so much as a grain of salt, he's talking it about, he's telling it about his, he's telling it about Euclio, the miserly person. If he loses so much as a grain of salt, he thinks he's being robbed. He raises heaven and hell if he loses a puff of smoke escaping from his roof. Do you know? When he goes to sleep, he ties the balloon on his mouth. Anthrax has a funny answer, funny reply. What does he do that for? Strobylus tells him, so as not to lose his wind. And then Anthrax says, does he stuff up the other end too? He might lose some wind that way. It's a kind of farce through which our dramatist is trying to create a laughter among the audience. When Euclid returns back, he sees hustle and bustle in his household. He beats the cook Congrio. He thinks that he is perhaps stealing his gold. Euclid once again checks his pot of gold. He is satisfied and says, here it is, thank God, and I'll keep it on me wherever I go. Now he takes this pot of gold, this little pot of gold with him. He wants to hide it somewhere else, not in the household, because there are cooks and servants working in his family. Here we see he also complains to Megadorus that you have stuffed my family, you have stuffed my house with thieves and rogues. While he is coming out of his house, he sees Megadorus talking about the benefits of getting married to a poor woman, because he complains about the rich women who bring with them a lot of dowry and later on control their husbands. Euclid gets very happy and says that you have a right thinking about women, and women must not control their husbands. But here again we see that Euclid has still some doubts about Megadorus. He still thinks that perhaps Megadorus has his eyes on his goal. That's why he has accepted, or he has uh, proposed to get married to his daughter. While Megadorus goes away, Euclid takes his pot of gold to hide it in the shrine of good faith. The Shrine of Good Faith is actually located between the houses of Megadorus and Euclid, and it is visible on stage. While he is trying to hide his pot of gold in the Shrine of Good Faith, we see a young slave in the street. This young slave is watching him. Rather, he was supposed to keep a watch on Euclid. The slave tells to himself, I'm a good slave. I am. I think a good slave should do as I have always tried to do, serve his master. So here we see that he is still serving his master. It is perhaps his master, will later on come to know who that master is. It is his master who has asked him to keep an eye on Euclid. But while doing so, the slave comes to know that Euclid has some treasure in his possession and he is going to hide it somewhere. While Euclid is trying to hide a spot of gold there in the shrine of good faith, he doubts that there is somebody watching over him. He catches the slave. He tries to beat him. He curses him, thinking that he is perhaps going to steal his money, steal his gold. What the hell is the matter with you? The slave tells him, because he has not so far stolen anything. What do you want with me, you old idiot? What have I done to be dragged around and beaten by you? Euclid, beating is all you are fit for. You are a thief, a thief, a thief. What have I stolen? Give it back. So there is a funny conversation between the two. Euclid is asking the slave to return what he has stolen, but he is not ready to tell him what was stolen. I haven't stolen anything of yours. Then give me back whatever you have stolen. Am I going to what? You are going to, am I going to what? Are you going to return it? You are not going to get away with it. And finally, Euclio thinks that there is somebody else hiding there, and in order to get hold of that accomplice of the slave, he leaves the slave and goes in another direction. But unwittingly, Euclio digs out his pot of gold again from the shrine of good faith and tells himself that I will hide it at some other location. What is that location? That location is the lonely grove of Sylvanus outside the walls. So it's away from the stage. While knowing this fact, the slave gets very happy. Whoopee, the gods are looking after me. I will nip along these before the old man and climb a tree. So he decides to get to the grove where Euclid is about to hide his treasure and see where he is hiding it. And when the next section, although this is not a break dividing two acts, we have no scene break or act break in this play. Although it's a kind of scene break, it has been indicated by the asterisk that there is a lapse of time. So what happened? The slave gets away with the gold. In the meantime, Lyconides comes. So it is known by the audience that Lyconides is actually the owner of the master of the slave who has stolen the treasure. He had actually asked his slave to keep an eye on Euclio because Lyconides is the same young man who is the father of the unborn baby of Pedria, the daughter of Euclio. So he is responsible for impregnating her. Now, Lyconides, when he knows that his maternal uncle is going to get married with his girl, he asks his mother, Eunomia, to stop the marriage because he himself is ready to marry Pedria. Finally, it is arranged that Phaedria is going to marry to Lyconides, and funnily, it is the day when Phaedria is going to deliver the baby of Lyconides. There is a long conversation between Euclio and Lyconides. Euclio is mourning the loss of his gold, and Lyconides approaches him saying that I'm actually responsible for your ruin. It's me who is responsible for the wrong things. Euclio thinks that Lyconides is perhaps telling me that he has stolen the gold. But we know Lyconides is actually talking about impregnating his daughter. Lyconides knows it, but Euclio doesn't know it. When Euclio goes into his house and sees that his daughter is delivering a baby, he comes out. In the last section, which is actually an embedded section, which was not part of the original text, we have the resolution of the play. Megadorus happily accepts marrying his nephew Lyconides with his girl, whom he himself wanted to marry, Phaedria. And it is Lyconides who tells the old man Euclio, that I know where your gold is. It has been taken by my slave, because he wants to purchase, he wants to buy his freedom. Finally, Lyconides gives this gold back to Euclio, and Euclio, I mean, he has a kind of change of heart. He has so far been a very miserly person, but he gives this money back to Lyconides and tells him that because you are going to be my son-in-law, I want you to spend this money on my daughter. I want to make my daughter happy in your family. And finally, there is a dialogue in which Euclio says, there are always there are ways and means of disposing the child. He actually proposes this thing. He had actually proposed this thing earlier, but finally he accepts it. I was reading a wrong dialogue. Let me get the correct dialogue. Yes, it is here. Euclio says, it is nothing of the sort. If that money can go, as I told you, he has a change of heart. He says earlier he was not ready to be separated from his money, but here he accepts it. If that money can go where it will do some good, I shall be the happiest man in the world. Instead of the most miserable, he has so far been very miserable. He was a sufferer actually. He was not actually the owner of the gold, he was actually the slave of the gold, because he kept on, this gold kept on worrying him. He was sleepless, he was restless, so he was kind of miserable. So he actually wants to get rid of this misery and make some good use of this money, which is what I have been ever since. He has been miserable since this money came into his possession. Day or night, I have had I have not had a moment's peace. And finally, he says, I am going to sleep. After giving this gold away, I am going to rest. I am going to be calm and at peace. And there is a funny ending where Magadorus is inviting the audience for the feast. And then he says, no, no, we have prepared only for the 6 people, and you may go to your respective families and have your meals there. That is the end of the play. Thank you for watching this video. Do subscribe to my channel.